to Get Real with Asil, a women empowerment podcast hosted by Asil Albaba. Hello and welcome to another episode of Get Real with Asil. Today is Friday, July 21st, 2017. On today's episode, I'm sharing the 9th principle of success, extracted from the Success Principles by Jack Canfield. The 9th principle suggests that success leaves clues. So often enough, we have a certain goal in mind and we just pretty much, if the goal is big, we have no idea how to reach it or even where to start from. But chances are, whatever it is that we need to do or want to do, there's somebody else who's done it. Whether it's a physical goal or a financial goal or a spiritual goal, if you look around you in the world, there's probably a lot of people who have already accomplished the goal that you already have in mind for yourself. So knowing that there's people who've already achieved it, that means they've done something to achieve it. And often enough, you will recognize certain patterns. So there's clues out there for you in order for you to put together and develop a plan for yourself. So this is one of the great things about living in today's world. There's just an abundance of opportunity out there, an abundance of people who are willing to share it. So who's already done what you want to do? Think about that. At this point in this chapter, because it's principle number 9, if you listen at the earlier episodes where we shared about success principles to help you identify your goal, help you identify why you want it, and all these other things that were important. Now at this stage, we're assuming at this stage that you already know what you want and you have a goal that's a clear understanding of exactly which path you're heading towards. So that's why at this point it's just a matter of reaching out to people who've already done it and then asking them about whether it's strategies they can share, whether it's resources, whether it's help, whether it's advice, whether it's simply an insight, because people reach their goals in different ways. So talk to as many people as you can about their own path, their own journey, and hopefully you'll be able to walk away with something from that. So if you want to retire as a millionaire, as an example, you can reach out to people who have done that, or even books that are available. So there's so many books about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think it's called, the Automatic Millionaire, the 1 Minute Millionaire. There's so many wealth books out there that you can read and equip yourself with. If you want to, let's say, lose weight, there's so many people who've been on this path, whether it's the books, whether it's the programs, whether it's the personal trainers, or even most importantly, whether it's somebody who's been through that journey themselves, somebody who was obese and then developed certain strategies to get in shape and get fit. So when you take advantage of the information that is already available out there for us, you'll discover that life is just simply connect the dots game. So there's different dots out there in society, and it's just a matter of bringing them together so that the picture is clear for you. And once you have identified and identified what that picture looks like, it becomes that much easier for you to pursue. Now, the interesting thing is that most of us don't actually seek out these clues. They're there, they're everywhere, they're easily accessible in today's world and the technology available for us, and yet no one is doing it. So you might want to wonder why. I mean, it really is very simple. So many of us don't actually reach out to people for several reasons, but these are the top 5 that are suggested in this chapter and that I totally agree with. First thing is, it never occurred to us. So we just don't see others as resources, and we don't necessarily feel that anybody around us is doing it. So our parents didn't do that, our friends are not doing that. So it just doesn't occur to us the idea that we can just reach out to somebody and talk to them about their journey. Another thing is it's inconvenient. We don't have to go to the it's not just reading a book. I mean, that's easy. You can just go buy it from Indigo or Chapters, and you can read that. But reaching out to somebody, that is inconvenient. It's going out of your way. You might have to drive, hours to meet them, or whatever the case is. The third thing is asking for others for advice puts you up against your fear of rejection. So you might hear that the other person is not willing or doesn't have the time to share with you what you're asking them to share with you. So just the fear of rejection itself prevents you from pursuing that. Even though I really think the fear of rejection is such an overrated fear, because the worst thing anybody can tell you is no, and that leaves you the same spot that you started with anyway. So you really have nothing to lose, and that's a very literal statement to say. You have nothing to lose. Just do it. I mean, you have nothing to lose. It's just that simple. And then connecting the dots in a new way would mean change, and change often is extremely uncomfortable, even if it's to our best interest. So, really reaching out to people who have done it, they're gonna be telling you about certain things that you're gonna start to have to do in your life, routines that you have to implement, hard work. Chances are hard work is definitely part of the equation, and that is going to be inconvenient and uncomfortable to do, and that prevents you from pushing forward to get these answers and these clues to yourself. Also, connecting the dots means hard work, like I said, and chances are people are lazy. I mean, sometimes the goals we have for ourselves are nothing but wishful thinking. And if we're stuck in that world where all we want to do is have some sort of wishful thinking and dream about the big ideas that we want to potentially achieve in our life, and yet are willing to do absolutely nothing about it, then there's just not much you're gonna go. Not you're just gonna be stuck in the same place you started from, and even go backwards in life. Because if you're not progressing in life, then you're not growing, and that in itself causes you anxiety, and it just drives you backwards. So my suggestion for you today is that there's 3 ways you can begin to seek out clues. The first, seek out a teacher, a coach, or a mentor. It could be in the form of a book or an audio program, or somebody that you can actually meet in person. I personally recently invested in a coach for myself, and I'm really excited about the journey that I'm going to have with her, because it's a journey inwards. So I feel like I just invested in a resort instead of just lying on the beach. It's just going to be a journey going inwards, and I don't know what kind of excitements and things that are going to surface as a result of that. Second, you can seek out somebody who has already done what you do and ask that person if you can interview him, or just look at ways to connect with them. It could be a Skype interview, it could be a couple email interactions, whatever that person's comfortable with. Obviously, you want to be mindful because you're the one asking for their help. So obviously, you want to be mindful with the ways that they're comfortable communicating with you. And often enough, people are happy to share. You're gonna find that a lot of people are actually happy to help, because they've been in a position where they needed help to achieve what they've achieved. So they probably understand and appreciate the position you're in because they've been in it at one point. So most people, I would like to think, are actually willing to share, given the if time permits. The third thing you can do is ask someone if you can shadow them for the day and watch them work. So let's say your goal is to become a director, and right now you're just starting up in a company and you're in an entry level position, as an example. So reach out to the director that inspires you and you look up to, and shadow them for the day. Look at the way they dress, look at the way they talk, Look at the way they, manage their day, plan their week. Just look at the lifestyle they have. Look at the routines they have outside work as well. How do they start their morning? What do they do at night? So look at all these things, and then eventually you'll start drawing patterns. The more you do it with more people as well, because if your goal is to become a director, chances are you're better off reaching out to different directors, because each of those directors have probably embarked on a different path that led them to where they are, and each of them can offer you different types of feedback and clues, because we're very unique beings. So this road is going to be extremely customized to yourself. It's going to be customized to your own strength, and this is really why reaching out to more people will help you get closer to something that is going to work for yourself. So this was the short and sweet episode that I have for you today. I really hope that you just get out of your head and start reaching out and talking to as many people as possible. I'll give you an example of something I recently did. Maybe this will maybe inspire you to do something. So I've recently been thinking about traveling a lot. It's been a theme that's been reoccurring in my life, and there's different destinations I have in mind, but certainly Australia and New Zealand come to mind. I mean, it's really been interesting. These two countries, the names of these two countries keep reappearing in my life in different shapes and forms, and I don't know if I'm meant to just go visit or just go on like a retreat there, or just go and work there for a bit just to see the lifestyle. I don't know really what that looks like yet. But I was on LinkedIn the other day, and I came across a profile of somebody I have not talked to in a very, very long time. Like, I'm talking at least 4 years or so, or 5 years even. And I just noticed that they just moved to New Zealand. And that excited me because I thought, oh my God, like, I've been thinking about this for myself for a while. And I don't know anybody who lives there or works there. And I just came across a profile on LinkedIn that suggested one of the people I know is there now. So even though I haven't spoken to that person in 5 years, and we were acquaintances to begin with, it's not like we had a deep friendship or anything. I reached out to them and I said, I'm very happy to see that you're taking a new exciting adventure in your life. And I'm actually thinking about that for myself. So I just was wondering, like, how did this come about? And he was actually very happy that I reached out because he's wanting to share his story. He really is excited to share with the world what his story was, and how he came about doing what he's doing. So he actually suggested that we schedule a phone call with one another. And I even told him that I have a podcast that I like to share interesting stories on it to empower people. And he said that he would like to be on my podcast after we speak one-on-one first. So it's a very good chance that I may have him on my podcast. And it's interesting that this just happened by a simple LinkedIn message. Worst case scenario is he could have not replied to me, and so what? That would have not been the end of the world. Reaching out is really, really not as hard as we make it sound in our head. So there you go. Today, actually, I'm having a conversation with him later on in the afternoon, and it will be like a Saturday morning for him. But I'm really looking forward to it, just to hear what he's done and what resources he relied on, and all these things that I think will be helpful for me to develop an even bigger picture about what traveling to New Zealand or Australia looks like. So there you go. That's a real life example that's just extremely fresh and recent because it literally just happened yesterday. And as a result, there's going to be continuous conversations happening from this point onwards with that person. So there you go. Go ahead and do it. And I look forward to sharing more things with you in future episodes where we can learn, grow, and most importantly, get real together. Take care.